मैम खोमजरी इम्पैक्ट न्यूज़ की मनुहंदा मैम तराम नौसरी मणिपुर लेंगा की कैबिनेट डिसीजन अमना मणिपुर की सिंग मरक्ता कोई सेक्रेट साइट अदुगा हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड लेबा अदुगा मणिपुरी पुआरिगा यामना नक्सिनबा अदुनबा इम्फाल मयोंदा लेबा इम्फाल वेस्ट डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेबा सिंग अमखक रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट होना लाउथोखरे हारिबा सिंग दुदी हाइबोक सिंग की रेंज लेबा हाइबोक सिंग से रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट होना लाउथोकपनी इंडियन फॉरेस्ट एक्ट सेक्शन 4 ऑफ इंडियन फॉरेस्ट एक्ट 1927 की मतुइना हारिबा हाइबोक सिंग असी रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट होना लाउथोकपनी दो हाइबोक सिंग से कांचीपुर की एरिया मणिपुर यूनिवर्सिटी लेरिबा एरिया से होरकांदा हियांगथांग अदुगा लिलोंग चजिंग एरिया फाउबा संथोलिबा रेंज से कदाई देगना कदाई फाउबनो हाइबमक्ति कुछ चपचाना तंगदांगबदी खंगद्रगसु हारिबा रेंज की सरुकसिंगदा लयमफमसिंग असी रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट होना लाउथोरपनी मरुइना मसिदा अखोगी मणिपुर की रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट की लेरिबा टोटल लेरिबसी कोई जियोग्राफिकल एरिया 77.20% दी कोई हिल ओइना अदुगा फॉरेस्ट एरिया ओइन लेरगसु 8.42% दी रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट ओइ सी खक्तन लई अदुगा 23.95% ना प्रोटेक्टेड फॉरेस्ट ओइना लेरकांदा रिमेनिंग सिना अनक्लासिफाइड फॉरेस्ट ओइना थम्बनी अदुना मणिपुर की अदुगा पृथ्वी ओइना ग्लोबल वार्मिंग अदुगा तोंगान तोंगान एनवायरमेंटल प्रोसेस मयाम सिदा हारिबा सिंग अदुगा हारिबा फॉरेस्ट की लैंड सिंग असि कंदबा यादबदु खोंथांग अमोइना पाइखटपकी वाफमदनी अदुबु ngasi laiba wafam di haibok sing si puari sagona ba yang thang lairembi aduga manipur ki history da yauraba nabul turen chentharaglipa aduga tongan tongan ba khoi langthabal ki konung laiba schedule tribe ki area laiba maroina schedule tribe khoi kabui jati jelarong jati na khunda pa amaromda maitai amadi maitai pangal sing chu hariba sing si koi ba sing ta thangnana lengsibje ja ganesh nagaranjan iws dfo central ni hamda ganesh pu taram welcome to show अदुगा मैं आदिरंगसिन बिरि बजा राम वांखै राखपम एनवायरमेंटल एक्टिविस्ट नि जराम बसु तराम नोक्सरी लोइना मताइ थंग थंग सिबि बजा रिंकु कुमुक्सम एडिटर इम्फाल टाइम्स बजा रिंकु तराम नोक्सरी आइ आहाम गोहां से गणेश ता थमजके सर गणेश ता मरवइना पर्पस टू डिक्लेयर सच अ विलेज एसे रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट हाइड टू कमाइ थंग
हाउ किबे चही करिसिदा अखोई अनक्लास फॉरेस्ट सिदा नॉट जस्ट हेबोक चिंग हाइटारे अतोप चिंग मोल हिल्स हाइद अखोई मचा चिंग मचा दो अदुगी मचा चिंग दा यू यानबा चिंग लेपक कोटपगुप्पा अदुगा एंगोजमेंट तोबा मयाममा चक्तरी अखोई सी अनक्लास फॉरेस्ट ओइबा मतमदा ओइबा बरमदा केस लौकतनोबा यारोई इंडियन फॉरेस्ट एक्ट 1927 अप्लाई तोबा यारोई एक्सेप्ट फॉर हिल एक्सकवेशन आसिगुंबा आयना यौदब तोवक सिंह चतरी तौदन लाखी गवर्नमेंट न मसी की दमक सरकार न हेबोक सिंह की अरफ ओय नंबर की दमक ओडनरी अकोई तमाम तमाम बदी प्रॉब्लम याम ले ग्लोबल वार्मिंग अदम है अदुगी वाटर कंजर्वेशन से याम सॉइल इरोशन इन द लैंड प्रॉब्लम इन लाके सो इन दिस रिस्पांस टू द anthropogenic pressure, let us say, on the forests of the valley or the hills. This particular parcel of land was actually, we have been trying for the last 7-8 years. Government was also trying for the last 7-8 years to convert it into a reserve forest. So that was the decision taken in the cabinet to have a safe and good environment around the impal, so that the microclimate is also not affected.
Adigi adusi point su lai haibok sing sing environmental conditions me abak koi excavation logi wam excavation tawba duga sing kappa and then koi for deforestation tor ko mayam su lai adu as well as koi waithau reserve forest ki manung lai ba hojik su hek haubaga du ure sing ji ko khre lai tre hai tare singu matang adi government khana ba lai bra kamai tawe and about discussion about this waithau reserve forest
we yes you might be knowing that last 2 years before there was an massive encroachment removal eviction drive which has happened in Waithau. Apart from that, I was DFO Tobal in 2018. From that time onwards, we have had more than 50 to 100 cases in that year itself, and we have been last around 6-7 years we have been filing so many cases, we have been arresting so many people. There are pressure. We know that the one biggest issue with respect to the valley marketed mining zone, where people can, because if you see, there should be a balance between development and environment conservation. So having said that, we are also on the basis of lagi matungina koi loinam case to tore, but having said that, we need to see where we can identify some particular location so that this mining can be allowed in particular by a regulated way. So that because of this huge demand for construction purposes and other purposes, these are the dynamic challenges which we face.
Yes. Adubu challenge lerga su tawdabdi adi government gi mayam sigi kanghibasina hena phagadaba society gi leba ki kangadaba tawgadaba mayam si tawrakpaduni government mi mathauduni ozarem sbaida thamjaningi di hoi hojiki thamjari ba waithog area si su yamna protected aduga reserve forest oi leba phamne encroach tawi haidana si yum mayam su takhai gi su leire yum 13 manga asida encroach tawi adu sigi anauba nauna lakba hana su khudaba laitaba pham moiri haidi Heibok singi range sida hai tare adana siki reserve forest oina protect to gitaragati to pa the villagers mayam the effect ro idra haiba wafam dani adai do karmai yeng mi ida asum matang da haibati ato to smaina kogi kare hai tare reserve forest oina lorko matam da adai the villagers singi assessment report na kari gumar report ga menu iba duba yeng ba leibra duga si ka toroni haibi to bui wafam jin leibra maina mamang chan na mai chan gi haiba wafam dani
yam yam but two main issues aina ubuda one akoi da reserve forest lawbagi matang da conflict se people ka conflict lai bisi mafam anywhere dum leire si manipur kano da manipuri yang matang particularly valley ge adjoining areas sidais da mall hills leire aduga se Pumlen Park ki nakanda leiri ba Ching mayam dasu lot of conflict edi hana leiramaba mi kona lakpa mi adaina adigi maron su lei hibaga loina na madu mayam dagi land settlement ama adugi conflict se ama leire aduna ada leibasi hujiki sidasu ai sigi area se leiba mamang dasu mi khana bi khona gi begi kesu khar lei aduna adugi conflict si kamaina resolve tawgadagi hazi land settlement moi officer lerum gani ena khan land settlement officer tuga long process of hujiki manung da taram mayam sigi khoi forest kano da forest rights act ki matung ina di moi gi ada lerum mi sing se certain area 4 hectare gumba moi si allot tawraga moi si lehan bagi process ama lei aduma ai adugi kamaina adugi sese kamaina leibna khong de forest department ga the main issue ai wakhal the main issue forest reserve forest ki issue the reserve forest igi purpose so like sacred grove maintain to wa ngak sacredness of the site hairi whether reserve forest is the right legal category for protecting a sacred site. I'm not clear on that. Haibidi adugi right tools si oibra oidabra khangde kaino da oidaba mali kaino da umang lai gumba leiriba valley da umang lai mayam leiba like kai khudingi almost umang lai lei adun da bas sacred sites mayam lei madugi legal category ma dakar leibra because reserve forest the purpose though why this particular area masi mafam area si reserve forest lautho isi kari gino is there a separate legal category which is siga lamdam siga chanaba akoi lekai da kana umang lai leba adi umang lai mayam lai neba madu mayam su hujiki ching matek tu hadana tana sacred site mayam mama how do we protect it because these are all small macha forest area macha neba pulap lai tragasu lekai khudingi lerak pandraga lekai ani gi punjalaga laiba forest mayam is there a legal category can there be a legal category have a question ama aduma ani subada reserve forest na environmental climate change and ado pa mayam water reservoir water as a water gi mogi tungna poini koni ka haise as far as aina ubudadi protected forests are the least protected forest least protected area aina across some chatli yeng bioba monoculture gumba su am thai aduga toraga masi khwaidagi kano da control leitaba community forest na it's a much more well protected forest oiga level India the assessment there are many assessments around that aduna whether the purpose high at least covered up I haven't seen the legal official document but whether reserve forest ma lauthoga whether magi purpose to sing protect whether tawraidra and whether is whether that legal category reserve forest harbor legal category is it really the category which can magi hujiki hariba kano se reserve kano to protect the wang ambadra hai
environmental
it's very questionable. No, not only that, sacred sites hari ba se adu chani chan des I'm doubtful hai di khara Ching aduna I think maybe the forest department can explain on that.
Okay, the next round la thambiyo to zari ko se data hairi oza ram so hairi say the sacred site ki Heibok Ching hai si dum ayang thangi achoba manipuri puari sagona ba hi thang ba mafam ne yang thang tholaki bani aduga hojik su manipur university ki lari mafam si langthawal gi konung oiram ba manipur gi gambir singe matan do konung oiram ba sacred place amni hai tare historical monument ki bakada protect torum gane na khali sagi area se do hojik army le charga lai hai tare asisu yaw da bra hai ba tongan wafam war kanda range gi area di forest sing Heibok Ching area de do boidi aduga akoi bada kabui snaw sing tari aduga akoi bada muslim snaw sing tari akoi bada maiti snaw sing tari naning kon sing gi whole area do manung do kul taraga leiri hai tare aduna masida reserve forest ni haidna reserve toroga thamgi taragati madu sang ba yaba aduma digi rules ki matung law gi matung tawhi ba taragati adai da leiri ba mem villagers sing gi right hai tare adai da khara solok pa khara leiga dai ba wafam ni kamai ubi mi ngila
Ahamada Kogi Lautokpiriba Heibok Ching Reserve Forest ni Harisi Revenue Forest and Revenue Village in the Lermbadagi Lautorpane and a Revenue Village in the Lergame Matamda Madurai da Tonga community sing the Magilam Lerga Natragana Tasalaga Natraga occupied Tesalaga illegal or legally enemies in Nagatabi Mamisi Sairi Sequi Handi Uralai. Quick with the Nakoing a city against Sahi Homarigi among the Sioux. Heibok Ching Sigi Hakta Tongan ba Kogi Mimiam Sitasalak Padagi U Kakpa Adagi Lagi Toronto with the say Meitei peoples or indigenous Ate hill people sing Sadungare Hana the Kanogi Atopa lining sing Silactring Matamda forest was a perne ancestor was a perne Aduna forest sing Silai don't Kalaga Lakba Aduna Aduna Famsi forest when Adum Lagadum protector religion map. Masidai forest canona, Quigi reserve forest and a Hajik Lautorpu Matamsida Ainanga isi Masi Kari Marumgi Lautor, even why Heibok Ching has been announced as declared as Kanoko reserve forest. Kari Marumgi no cinema, I want the Kitang Chamum Narise. Kayin of the Moida Akibam later, Brakayin of the Aquina ground related Aquina Satmatamda. Forget about Waziki Aquina Lap the Ying Bob, but Chautak the Ying, if Potse, talk to Okanda, Aquina Ying Mumatam coming together. ID Shatcha Ureva, Mafamse. Changaga Changure, Mafamse. Changumatamda, Hamba Matamda, Quina University that late game at the Leramba, Yum Machine, Adai Taramba, Yum Machine, Masama Samayam, Dudagidi, coming together Akuma Changus the Lerama, triple the households tire. Aduga, Shigi Mafamsi, Quina Hana, the lightingi Mategisu, Yamna Maru, Homo in the lighting Kurambagi, Raubugi, Chatpa Kotpa Yam Toweva. Adigi Muslims in Gisu, Madu Chatpa the Mogi Dharma the Kai Kotpa, Hide Aisi, Maite, Muslim, Christian, Kaidopagi, Wafam Sungat Nate. Aina Hazarigi, communities in Duna Lakmatamda, disturbance people Kotpa Habasida, Kanavasiam. To in a Kanosida, Heibok Ching the Toktana, Tang Yana, Toktana, Heibok Ching Haktaxida, Yam Lake, Asidesida, Maitegi, Tunganba, Okogi, Youth Ching, even Agi newspaper, Sidabok to Lak and the Man Hamoina Habasi. We are going to set up a big Lanmi Museum Change, Kayino, Heibok Ching, Kanava Haibogi, Port Pogyauram Mebo. Aduna, Hojik over the Heibok Ching Punkoke. Simadi, China Viar, Heibok Ching the Natrek, urban canone plantation in a Toriba, urban forest measures, perhaps flop, New Felny, the protected area forest near Torombasing do, Handakta, Minister Enbirens in the Puturopada, Loina Yum Tasseler, the reserve forest, Manung the Rim Tasseler, Aduma Mamatanga, the Lakare, Hivadi, a quick still lady bar, canosing say, Ishoiba, Migina, forest, Pazana. Later we are the Heibagi Port Amakakta, Kankalakpan, Lunanba, the Giakogi environment Panama, Honarakpa, the forest department, I'm a lady, the Sigisu, my shop, the Navamogi, Tonga Honarak, somewhere a quiggy traditional or customary or whatever you call it, Moinhe to Garakanda, Masigi posting Namghai. Namghai racing see protect on Nabahina some kind of stringent law. Stringent law is not classified forests in a high taragadi. You cannot take up any case in Hibiri. If it is a reserve forest or protected forest, then Pangan can be credit lady. Aduna Adu Torpaya never di Mali, but Laudi Laukre, well and good. ministerial team se yam thagat le chief minister na lusing ba team se lauthok khra thabak se hek tong dab se simadi it's very disappointing.
Okay lauthok khra thabak si reserve forest just declare ta gre but makhata ba program sing hai tare masai da encroach to bo ro anything aduga sai hajiri rights to the villagers makoi kamai tori adugi reports kamai to makhata ba sing kamai.
There is a lengthy procedure for this also. Now the cabinet decision has come yesterday. Adugi matungina now we need to notify under section 4. Notification hujik to Toktri will notify as soon as possible. As soon as possible, and there is a timeline for this also. Once it is notified tora matamda where under section 4 notification togoduguni FSO amma forest settlement officer amma appoint togoduguni magi tabagdo as a revenue officer, like it's very much similar to what we do in revenue allotments and all, but we need to inquire into the rights which is already existed. For example, hana labor rights thing hak sing do that has to be encored and it has to be recorded. Adu it is properly quoted. It is the existence of the right, the nature of the right, and extent of the right that has to be recorded by the forest settlement officer. That means hana labor hak do record taguduguni, include taguduguni, adugi hakki makkal do adu su kanga taguni, adu su record taguduguni, adugi kaya yamna patok chokatle adu su record taguduguni. Record tagu matamda. Then there will be more claims. Then claims has to be taken by the forest settlement officer. Then it will be settled as if you will act as a civil court only. So civil court ki chammana adu magi court proceeding hoigaduni. Adu gi damak within 3 months after section 4 notification ta ahungi manungda claims lo namak lakaduni. If somebody could not produce claims in 3 months, he has to explain why the delay is there, and then it has to come again. It has to be produced to FSO again. After that, there is an appeal period also. FSO has to decide upon the rights. He has to record the rights. He can set aside some areas also. And we know that it is already been, some of the areas are already been covered in CS Dark's 1960 survey, and there is one more survey in 2014 also. And some might have been given, some people might have been given Jamabandi, or say the property has allocation might have been happened by proper this one. So these rights will be recorded by the forest settlement officer, and a decision will be taken up. And after that, there will be appeal period also for 3 months. Once the forest settlement gives his final judgment or whatever it is as a civil court, there will be another 3 months for appeal period. So once this appeal is also, there will be court separately hearing the verdicts of the FSO, and from that appeal again, if everything is finalized, there is no more appeal, further appeal, then only the section 20 notification will be there. After which it will be deemed as a final reserve forest. So there is a time period of around minimum 6 to 1 year it might take.
Reserve forest yes. Reserve forest once it cabinet of one is adi process lo to the mayam confusion cover the confusion
I want to appeal also
kano natebo hujiki cabinet low way one reserve forest not 3 process yam watli process yam watli adu khatna ba court mayam lakhine ba adugi marak session eba question aina haning badi why have the question to never there Hujik have a purpose cover. I haven't seen actual what is the reason to never justification is the justification chumra chumdabra have a question to never cabinet decision to chumi chum de and I question that we want the appreciate to do kitang to man rasin.
No, I'm not appreciating it. What I'm talking is that akoy machine ngamgadra ina hangbagi maramdi kai maramgi na habta lot of problem happens sigi Heibok sing sigi matangda within various communities because of their ownership more than claim to we them.
Yes, yes.
Thang yana ba yaw kre mi hana ba yaw kre sinaba ba yorum gadra ina khalle ba ana sigi marak sida Heibok sing kano na lautho ek ai sida harau kangu community yarum gani sig Heibok sing se zik reserve forest oina lautho ek sida harau kangu soidana yaw ne aduga somebody mi khradi yam saw yaw ne
kapang mane
nati saw yaw ne di kai no da they will feel that our right has been settled, there has been moina lawgre akoigi moi oina thamgi dure haibagi aduna sigi pot mayam se hana akoigi da akoigi forest ki da khangdi any sector section da koina thabak taw matam da akoigi lemho tahog da saruk amadi kamai tawge da mi myam se da awareness piraga koin tawdoi se sini gyan tana pibagi portion se sungaw yaw dana hana decision ek laweba aduna maram maruga kyaw so halle aduna Heibok Ching gi si lauthoi si phattaba nate yam phaba pot si dai sida unnecessary लाइक लो हेर मदे कोई लोइना ज्ञान लोइ तारम मदे कोई कनाम से खनर रोइ नुंगसु लोइ नुंगसिननी लाइक हैतबा दगी मीने तौरिसे अफबनी चौखट पसी सीनी हेबगी रियल मीनिंग ऑफ सिविलाइजेशन खंगदबा अदुगुंबा कांगु सि मयाम अमा कोइ द पैगे लेजे खंगना अदुगी खंग कांदा अदुदैदुदा एक तौगदबनी सिना अदुना अवेयरनेस सि याम तौबसि हेना याम दरका ओयबा दुगा मदुदा लैरिबा खना चैनबा थोइबा मयाम दुगी हाना ज्ञान ताहलबा मतुंगदने कोइना फॉरेस्ट solution for plus umang onthok pase hojiki ko isi umang onthok pase moi myam nu gyan tal matung da ne ba aduni da aina haijabadi
umang onthok pi matang se da ina that's why agi problem se di umang onthok pase reserve forest ki lauthoga umang onthok pasi chumra chumdabra haiba ma masai khanari ba mayam du reserve forest lauthoga khanaba phadori bra haiba ma haidi issue mayam leiri ba adigi environmental kannana ba forest kannaba climate change ba adigi sacred site kannaba reserve forest na category pusal ise hatu pusal ise is madu chummi chumde adune ba ini koina debate to goi aduna aduna in forest department su adugi response pami ke no da adune hena khana handori ba have question ma maduna forest kandori bra reserve forest kan bagi pot sei huji manipur udri example proper example udri JFM sembagi proper adugi maduna matho joint forest management nam lei maya pulaga forest ngakmina joint forest kano daga sidayisa chiraw sing daga tawna khot ama khara thaina tagi yamsu lei have is a joint forest management joint forest management sina forest mayam si kalle manipur gi ngak sele haibagi khudam huji pokta di uba phangdri joint aduna reserve forest si masing mafam ji lauthoga kandori bra khanaba phadori bra natraga atopa mawong da akoi kanminnabagi atopa kari process legi have I think it's important to discuss adu highway one
I would like to respond like I would like to differ with some sources we are there. I have a say, well, for example, let me put up a question. What if it is not declared as reserve forest today? What if we do not notify it as a reserve forest? In a year or so it will become reserve forest eventually. And we know that the level of degradation which is already happening and the level of anthropogenic pressure, we know day in and day out we are living in 2024 and the level of anthropogenic pressure is too huge in a valley where we have a population close to half of the state. And one more issue is that he is talking about JFM, so I will come to that later. I have perfect examples and evidence. For example, take for example Langol Reserve Forest. Akoi Langol Reserve Forest chahi kara chahi taragi mangda magi condition do adu unagaduni or hujiki condition do compare taguduni. If you compare the condition of Langol Reserve Forest 10 years back and now, the answer lies in that. It is a reserve was declared long back. Yes, maybe there may be some issues with respect to the management of Langol reservoirs earlier. The last 10-15 years, we've been tightening and we have been enforcing laws and then we are making sure that this reservoir is conserved and there is a thick vegetation which is there in the entire length and corner of the Langol Reserve Forest. So that happened even beyond the anthropogenic pressure which is there, which I was mentioning in case of Heibok Ching also. So up and above this anthropogenic pressure, we will be able to deliver. The forest department could deliver that conservation is there only because it is the stature is reserve forest. If there is an unclassed forest, without enforcement of law, this couldn't have been possible. And with respect to JFMCs, there are some lacunas in respect to the management of JFMCs, maybe because of the aspect of continuity. Funds who are after 1 year, 2 years, there is a discontinual of funds and all. So because of that, we could not support continuously a JFMC, a particular JFMC. But there are very around 30 to 40% of JFMC which I could see in my experience in Manipur, that they are performing very, very better. Yam Pajana the Tobok Midu I Kange, Hengangi, JFMC Orebra, Adugi, Langolgi, Lamdengi, JFMC Orebra. They have been conserving that forest and they have been getting benefits. They have been getting water resource from the hills which they have conserved. So that the evidences are there to suggest that the suggestion of the panel member is not 100% true.
Okay, laiba condition sita khoi joint forest management gi plan mayam su leram ba ya to hoji hoji laiba condition sita di madu gi assessment madu da kairai bauda madu lauthok pasina madu kaya yamna protect to godrib na haiba gi edu ba sabsa ba report to madi phambang amdri lauthok sei haiba no jare am jaibi ni lauthok pasi cabinet decision lora kan tawre haiba ne to sabsa na madu gi forest ek ki patun fix tawre haiba di thengna haiba wahum du ne ba adun mar kan da masida kaya yamna kuina sangi ga tawge aduga masida kanana maduki nungai taba lakadage aduga kanana nungai gadage habisini adu government gi wenadi adu lenga ki wenadi masigumba matawbasiti there is very good high tare
the motive for conversion of this revenue village into kind of reserve forest or is it a politically motivated act decision or is it for the protection of the forest? I say any conflicts in every area because Heibok Ching everyone knows that it is a conflicting area for many communities. Aduga koi community forest mein amale say for example andro the community forest ki pasana yu ogale. Aduga any village ko adagi kanoda kari koi asigi nang isai am to from do kurkul la side singi uyok jingle ko sigumba mayama yokhali ko
yes state darbar na happen singba
hoi admani yokhali plus Langol when you compare Langol with this Heibok Ching, it is a different story because Langol doesn't have any the conflicting area. There is no conflicting area in Langol side except for those encroacher and cutting trees and those. These are the problem in Langol. However, in this area it is a different problem. It is not about cutting trees. It is not about something. It is about ownership and there is a kenaba khara adum layeba ni se. Aduna hujigi am phajana budi haibi adi hekal out we ne ka tawdong na te. That is very good thing because mama we need a lot of things to do. Aduna madugi level me amdo awareness me amdo conflict area do da tauba application duga conflict area da natta da tauba duga ani sigi modality se chap manana sa taragadi kind of project se I don't think that one project one system one law is applicable to all the area haibudenda aduna ngasagi akoina kitang argument nate is a good program bisi ontok pasi am pone argument nate tawudu we hena mai pak na wagi damakta mafam du da leiriba mi sing du ga hana awareness se hana sarba awareness se create tawruba matung da keno se cabinet decision makna cabinet ki pano do lobira magadi adudana hena akoida satisfactory ama leigadra haidi soidana oirani haibagi akoida thajaba ama leigadra haibaduni da
yes e da pan mayam lakada do hana madugi mayam do awareness pil ka da mayam da wakal tahalaka na tawbo ergati mangom da hena yang sangjan ni haiba hom duni atem bre muzo break dung tan thon sake pe ni suming ta do nabi
Mobile furniture na lagliba wedding season asigi anau ba contemporary na lakchari loina na Manipur de ihan han ba oina wedding set laibi ba matamda 24 karat ki 5 gram ke gold coin free gift oina bizari mayam lengsin biraktuna mobile furniture ki 3rd edition the great wedding sales gold offer asi pre booking to biduna khudong jaba si lobi ho
offer asi akupa information khambina ba idamakta sangai product laiba mobile furniture la lengsin biro
Majo hapna poduna luxury Diwali mega sales limited matam gi oina 15 October to 5 November fawbagi oina washing machine fridge smart TV kitchen appliance laibada up to 30,000 save to view akupa marol gidamak contact to view 7085 971 598 Majo hub Imphal amadi Majo hub Thobal branch
break itu mayam kon taram no seri Heibok Ching reserve forest amoi lauthorokpa aduga masiki consequences sai tare consequences ga ilakha ke hena hana survey torga tobu mayam jale aduga tasena protected antaga reserve forest oina togi basina Manipur gi lairiba Ching pat turel gi leijerem ba mahusa gi system sing si kan badati asok dang logani haraga so maduna oira kadaba फिवम सिंह मियाम की अकोइब तारिब मियाम की खोलाव अमदी ताखरबरा हाइबो क्वेश्चन दुसुनी अदना हाइबोक सिंह एज रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट ब्रेक के बतुंग मियाम मखन तराम नौसरगा राम खैरपल थमजनिंग मददी सर्वे सी सर्वे तौगनी हाइबे पोसिदी सेदा मोल हिल्स की सर्वे तौगनी हाइबे पोसि लेरे व्हेयरएज होजिकी हाइबोक सिंह लाउनो होदा मोय सर्वे सोइदना तरुंगने खाली सर्वे तौबुदा अदुदनी अखोय ngasai खंगेदबा हाइतारे अदुदा यावरिबा मसल सिंह तोंगान तोंगान बा यूनिवर्सिटी की साइट लेरिबा उदम उबिरंगने हाइतारे तोंगान तोंगान लेरिबा कांचीपुरी आर्मी आसाम राइफल्स लेरी ngasai हाइजेबदने अदमाइ तौदना लेना होल ओइना सिंह रेंज ओइना तौगदरिब्रा नत्रगा सी होय कनोना देफोना खुबिगद पोरगसो जारेम दाइना आइडिया मोइन पुथोकसबे वानी नत्रगा अदाइदुदा खर खक्का गा तौबा याब्रा मधुने अइना थबजनिंग है कमाई उबे तो एनी रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट सी मसेद ओइना खाइदोगा तौबा याब्रा रेंज ओइना लौबरा सिनी हाइबो वफमजे
आई सी मदांगा कामता हाइजेगे हाइदी सी रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट हाइबोक चिंग खतंगी खनाबा यारोय अखोगी वैली दा लेबा अमदी वैली दा मोल हिल्स मायाम सिस्ता वैली दा वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम इन थिंगनबा मतमदा चिंगसु पातसु अखोगी कंफान अखोई प्लेन एरिया वैली अदुसु कनोदा अखोई से मैतई अमदी मैतई पांगन अतोप मायाम सिसु यावरगा मसेज दा अखोई लेकाई खुदिंग मक्ता कम्युनिटी प्रॉपर्टी मायामगी ओइबा लेकाई पुखरी उमंगलाई अदगी लेकाई की सानबुंग को संजाबुंग मैम लेरिबा वैली अमदी कितंग चथोकर रूरल एरिया दसु मसिगी द इंक्लूडिंग सैक्रेड साइट्स मैम चंगदन कन्मिन्नबा मफम ले उयोक ले सिदे उयोक सिंगसे फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट कन्बन नतेबा होजि हारिबा मफम सिंगसे
लेकाई लेकाई कन्जबने
मफ लेकाई ना मदी खुंगंगदुना फयेंग द कैदा कल्लिबा खोलिबा मैम सी दस नथिंग मोई फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट गवर्नमेंट याउदेबा सेइसा नाउ अनफॉर्चुनेटली अखोई सेइसा community and communal lands अखोगी community ownership की land की legal category अमा लेते पात जुंगाई पात ताबुतादी encroachment कौशल है हम कहनो दा हानगी मयामना तांगगा लेरम मफम सिंगसे मयामना कल्लगा नत्रगा तांगगा ले मफम सिंगसे legally recognized तौद्रमनिना the only legally recognized तौरसे individual rights ने MLR की मतुंगिना अदुना अदुगी लीगल कैटेगरी में एवरी हुजिक लेकाई पुखरी लेकाई लगी हाई सानबुंग मैम से स्टेट लैंड गातो ओन ओइबने हुजिक से बिकॉज देयर इज नो अदर कैटेगरी थमदेबा अदुना अखोइगी ओइबा याएबा इंडिया की लो मतुंगिना अखोइगी वैली की ओइबा चिंगी ओइबा लीगल सिस्टम पुखतकदबने हाइरिबा लीगल सिस्टम लीगल कैटेगरी पुथोकदबने इज अदुना नि साइड खने मदुने बा अखोइगी लॉ मेकर्स सिंग से कैबिनेट त फमीबा मयाम से लॉ मेकर्स ने अखोइना वोट थादर खल्लगा नोइ लॉ सेमु को ना अखोइगे चानबा लॉ सेमु हारगा अखोइगी लॉ चानबा सेमबा थीबा दरकार ले इज रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट मजु इज द राइट लीगल कैटेगरी टू गवर्न कम्युनिटी लैंड्स एंड सेक्रेड ग्रोव्स एंड अदुम मयाम मफम सिंग से अदि चानबा वाट प्रा चानबा खनबम दरकार लेत्रा हाइना आइगी simple argument di koi lawmakers sing that it's time to debate that haven and I feel I isana di reserve forest is not the legal category to hojiki haibam from the govern tawba chana dabra haina ina thaming
adai dini therefore the thamjading is hojiki akoi gi awareness portion hai tare da gi area da leiba duga khang hai environmentalist aduga manipur gi khang hai mayam sing ma hoi लाइब गवर्नमेंट से लोई खंगबरी खंगतारगसु दाय तानबा याबा बिसिंग यूनिवर्सिटी की ओजासिंग मैम लेरी एनवायरमेंटल एक्टिविस्ट मैम से लेरी अदुना मदुदा लाखु मतम consequences मदुमगना रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट और कांदा लैंड प्रोटेक्ट तो गमदरिब्रा ओनली फॉरेस्ट कैन प्रोटेक्ट टू डिक्लेयर एज ए रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट अदु ककी वानी अदुना रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट नतबसु मणिपुर दी people na hai tare people lekai na conserve reserve nataba un reserve forest मैम ले प्रोटेक्ट और फॉरेस्ट ग्रो फजन तो लेबा मणिपुर की ओइना मणिपुर की हिस्टोरिकली ओइना हाय तारे मणिपुर निंथौना पिरम मफम सिंग दी खुल पिरम मफम सिंग से नखोय की लमनी नखोय लेकाई सिंग लमनी नोय योक्चरो उ सिंग फजन थौलु हाइबन सिंग मफम मयाम लेरी मणिपुर दा अदमाय तोना हाइबोक सिंग नत एनी अदाय मोल हिल्स पोरो येंग मतम दा गवर्नमेंट ना रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट नि हाइना फिक्स तौतरी ममांग दा अखोगी जॉइंट मैनेजमेंट फॉरेस्ट मैनेजमेंट है लेकाई तौरकान अदुआई एंगल दुदी येंबिब्रा हाइबा वाफम दुनी कमाय तौय दुदी
I understand your question. First thing is that JFMC can operate even in reserve forest. Reserve forest once we declare reserve forest, JFMC is sutovoktobayai. That is one thing. And apart from that, if for example I just wanted to quote a situation. Akoi Heibok Chingi adu hujik ishingi chau lakpa matamda. Chinglepak yam kokale.
Right.
Katokle.
Excavation yam tawe.
Excavation yam tawe. it is the same argument what our panel members, esteemed panel members are putting up. Had it been prevented by the public, we might not have seen this situation also, no? So there is Vakalama tam jabdi adu akoi. There are some vested interest people also who might want to operate on that particular land, where the common public could also not resist. So that is where the administration comes into picture. So once we protect it as a reserve forest, and it is by the law, I can make a case out of it. I can. There might be some issues with the rights will be settled somehow. After that, only the reserve forest thing will come in. But having said that, this community management of forests is the ideal condition, which everybody wants. Even the National Forest Policy, which is amended also, it propagates that ultimate objective of the forest management should be from the community participation. So we all been taught the same thing in the academy as well. But my thing is, now in a practical condition, I see it as a challenge. I see it as a challenge that sometimes it may go beyond. Sometimes it's an ideal condition which we want to achieve, but sometimes some vested interest element sits in, and that time this kind of reservation or notified forest comes into picture. It protects the forest. Then so it is a what do you call it? It is a process. Ultimately, if the community is conserving, that is well and good, but there are certain challenges with respect to that.
Okay.
That is what I want to say.
Oh, sorry, because the high is Hosiki Wafum Duni, Mayam the Ying Wafum, who was at Mayam Tambiri, Manipurgiti, environment of Siobhan, to Kalagal, Yoxing, Hydra, to Kalagal, Haitado, Heibok sing at a particular singer that he sing pie, have some money, Haita, sing Heibok pie, white talking pie, Mayam, Hainer, and Haitadona, Masada local become many steps in G, like the process with us to protect on the plants to be out of that. But Yimia from the Mayam Canary Poms that environment haitare Heibok sing bunuksidaba waithong si bunuksidaba natraga koi mall hills masam sa bunuksidaba mayam leiram gadra haibage atu government su challenges sama lei haitare aduna forest rom da toraga di makoi su yam strictly atu law ma salai raga di kan bangam na pi upai da su khana boiram be adu sagi awareness portion mayam da wakal ta halakan da fazana challenges su nata bida ideal lo da sanghen na bi wafam du madi kitang na thare ba male wafam jiga mi wafam jedo kamai thabe
chumne khoi half of the population sinako if just half of the population, if they were conscious about our climate, our environment, then I don't think that there will be any need for such law. And kachulera mo ko mi halak traba mi phuna draba police lebe ke dakar no, right? Aduna tawdu si leba mi khara di leba ni na certain laws sumba the reserve forest kumba laiba kholiba singsi kannana bagi olaiba pitribi gi oliba keno sidai sida masi kannana bagi pot se sem de ya de se akoina changselak pot amakhak na
strictly government law resolution
masi gi lawraiba pot sigi kana ba sudum lei kana ba lei sida hujiki hoi hujiki Heibok Ching gi matang da di some argument akoi thoi ko masida masi kai conflicting area oibagi ne akoi thoi se forget about Heibok Ching kau tho se ba Hana Kuigi Lagriba Kuigi Forest Department, Huji exist Tauriba Dr. Kangde, urban forest ki kenosi, Kuigi Medi road median de Kenotava, roadside Kenomama, Utsarme Amatava, ID. Even some countries, some civilized Kuigi Yamna, Sakatpa, Singapore, Gumba, Taiwan, Gumbadi, Masingna, Masing the Gihele, Haribaneva.
Okay, highway the road divided Utari, Forest Department, Kaltari,
no, Forest Department, the Suyam Kaidu, Central Forest Division, the Giadu Division, Mayamle, the Central Forest Division, Sigimakada, Urban Forest Key Division, and Malay Malako. Aduna, Mediangi Karigi Sitaweva. However, Akwina yam chingnari si atay tira. Manipur this is the thing that I always said. When you drive a car in Delhi, then you will follow the traffic rule there. Definitely you will follow the traffic rule there. When the same person come back here in Manipur and drive the same car here, he will break the traffic rule here. Because Delhi Chatpangama, Maitai Gar Torido, Madu Pishapai Pani, Madubu, Delhi, the Patanga, Sakaneva, stringent traffic rule lay Moya. Whereas Nangi Manipur the cars, a Tawumatan the Ma Atawumi Maneva, my Shangaleva, and he don't care about the traffic rule in Brag there. ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯅꯦꯕ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯃꯅꯤꯄꯨꯔꯁꯤꯗ ꯁꯣꯔꯤꯁꯦ ꯁꯤꯒꯨꯝꯕ ꯃꯦꯟꯇꯥꯂꯤꯇꯤ ꯂꯩꯕ ꯃꯤ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤꯅ ꯃꯔꯝ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯁ꯭ꯇ꯭ꯔꯤꯟꯖꯦꯟꯁ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯐꯣꯔꯦꯁ ꯂꯣꯒꯁꯦ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯂꯩꯔꯤꯕ ꯄ꯭ꯔꯣꯇꯦꯛꯇꯦꯗ ꯂꯣ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯔꯤꯖꯥꯔꯚ ꯐꯣꯔꯦꯁ ꯀꯥꯏꯅ ꯂꯩꯔꯤꯕ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯁꯤꯒꯨꯝꯕꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯗ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯂꯩꯕꯥꯛꯀ ꯀꯣꯠꯂꯒ ꯇꯧꯔꯤꯕꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯗ ꯂꯩꯕꯥꯛ ꯀꯣꯠꯂꯤꯁꯤꯕꯨ ꯄꯅꯤꯁꯃꯦꯟ ꯀꯌꯥꯅꯣꯅꯦ ꯆꯍꯤ how many punishment they get how many years of penalty they get if anyone found guilty ko adusu only the driver kotlibaduga aduna loire change of akhoi keno ma gang am leri ne bala lewa kot lising karwar toraga prithvi akhoi gi keno se manipur se temghai ge khokai ge na khalba wakhan khanba gang am leri ne aduna sendan lambi achobu ma tabu ge tan ge leri ne ba adu sigum ba sing sida stringent law ma panana ba akhoi gi hujik akhoi gi keno sing si legislature sing hai tare akhoi gi akhoi na thagat ki mu sing sina adum da khanna ba gi muhutta akhoi aina heching na rei se reserve forest na laukthore harakanda मोगी बेनिफिट तक कई मकरा ले रम गदरा काने मनुंग देखते खलक भाई ताई को कहीं थाजा हुए जे सुने आया दबा I can never trust them थाजा हन बंगम दबा they can't make me believe that they are doing something good for the society अदुगी वखलों दुदा नहीं ना जरिए but well and good reserve forest लाउथोरे को हुजिक्सु defo ना हाईबीरे सिगी पोचिदा हेक्टा तवगदब नते मी हेक्टा इंथोकदब नते doesn't mean that लेरी में आमसे का तकथोगनी हाईबगी वाव नते मसिदेसिदा systematically study में आम तवगिदोरी अदु चही अम रेक लोइदौस नते चही मंगा तरुक से चंगा तौरगा सिदा रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट ओहेलगा प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया ओइने थंबै वाने बा अदुगी पोट में आमदो थंबिबनिना अदय एरिया ददि आम फै अदुगा हुजी हेन तौहनिंग पोती हाना चथरीब पोचिदगिसु हेन कंखलनिंग बा अदुगा stringent law खरदी दरकार होय अदुना therefore होइगुंबसु फंबिबनिना they are the one who see the ground reality and then ground reality the kari tawradi hena khigi delhi gi traffic phajana chatpa dumaina somna su traffic chatpa yanaba u si yalagadi hekta say I had complained one time sigi kangla mamang da thariba sigi kano se overbridge se asi sabse u pambi phaba ma hoeba mapung phaba ma madu yam thatleba they can build kitang chathoga saba yabado sadalu saiba I lodged a complaint to the PWD. Nothing happened. To the forest department also I lodged a complaint. Nothing happened. No action taken. Aduna, I still have doubt.
Still have doubt. Aduni aduda lairi basi taurakadra law si yam stringent law ma mathau tai habine aduna sida azit politically yongkana tongan ba maduda kudong sabsing launara pa yawgadra habiki mami du tadabdi nate but sigi protected at reserve forest later the environment assessment environment ki oiba eco friendly oiba environment ma lagna bhona badadi adu target tu oiraga su maduna maram oirakanda lengthy process ma 5 years 10 years ki lakha matamuda awaba mayam nangadra haibu su question amdi hangi adu wazara am saida soidana lakani habi admaina sayena ba haitare madugi lakpase sayena badi soidana sayena bo oiraga su government adum tawgi haitare dum tawgotoi ni madu adum praja gi awaba ubita bi natraga hojik praja gi awaba natabida singda su and cross over mayam tak thu bugi adum consequences mayam lai haitare aduna consequences pikpa sawi makha di poli government di asobu challenge samdi oidoi ni haitare sumai trop pase aduna hana tanaraga mana khang hi mayam natraga laikai gi natraga dum mayam tanabadu khachitha bagi mong moina ubra karmain thambi masi tasengna mayam people friendly oiba mong thabak tobuna phabra haiba wakhum ni kamai thambi
idea adugi matang I think very clear in sai su hawda dum mai gi wamang dum thamgre community forest ki matang da su aduga si manipur ki forest si kan khana ba yada ba forest overall forest ki situation id hujik lai si about total area si manung da lai si about 70% gumba total high natra 70 something but and then the quality of the forest have issue ma lagini aduga and a lot of them basically degrade tawgiba khokiba mayam se lere aduga forest how much of forest cover loss mayam issue lere adagi forest ki da kano da poppy thabagi na chowa topic ama hojik yam chowa issue lai how much of that poppy how much of that reserve forest have kam encroach we have see in fact aigi wakal in fact over sigi platform da su atopa platform da su again and again I emphasize tawguni masi matang se is the forest department working at all I think it's an issue whatever legal category ko one is a community forest amalai sagre what government kano high target the unclassed forest unclassified forest saibama these are community forests and huji powder community forest si our unclassed forest community rights and community settlement ama piraga properly working condition the legal framework amma khada thammagadi I think adugi tongan debate ama lei aduga Hairiba degradation tauriba Manipur yang why problem logging for example logging tauriba choba logging Burma amdi pusaliba Manipur logging tauriba in fact reserve forest logging tausi yam kalle adagi atopa degradation adigi encroachment tauriba adigi huziki lamsik haidoga reserve forest ki cherau singda for example cherau chingi tourism gi mingda kano project tohanba edi madugi project toba yana ba aduna state department ne natraga MOEF tagi Shillongi office tagi dei taraga divert taraga atoba project mayam pusalapgi mayam leba and at the same time alienation of land alienation of forest and relationship with the people haibagi mayam ga mari leina forest singdu hojiki mogi category singse laka kanda kai kairak pa yaba the different layers and debates yam layeba akoida Manipurda forest ane mamle Ching da langmai chakpagi a Ching da dum taina base Ching da taina bagi makha da ising turen da ising laktre Ching da taina ba ada mai cha Ching da taina ba kamain taurino kedawi do la ise hana kedabagi hujiki hari ba mpham si pungkok ko ese pungkok ko ise kari gino haibase proper discussion am change kanana no who are the actors natra kanana kumain torino kumaina popi tharino natraga kumaina logging kumaina encroach sarino haibasi without proper debate masigi adiga forest harket category ama leite forest makan gi leikreba madu mayam du clarity ama leitana pungnaud launargadi I think koi kashu lambi ndo kaim chat pangamoy kam ka next step kan lobo ngamoy aduna masigi debate si akoina the forest department in fact forest department say kanagumba natragadi retired kum better lakal level in fact I'm glad that ma lak pase ganesh ka laiga the seisa koi discuss so it's actually very important aduna akoina su express so ngam adu khara is khana banate it's about debate and discussion and what is
healthy discussion never
adu healthy debate say healthy debate say kamaina tawgade ge say forest department should open up I work have a proper
very important
process of discussion see because as a forest officer aina ubudako they are also having a lot of problem because moidi train in a certain legal system there are the train tawraga mogi adudai moi link ban lakpa ya banate but then how do you then understand local phenomenon ma'am so then how do you do it together I have a question I think it's important adugi debate it hasn't really started Manipur adugi debate how dri
that is very important hoi people concerned with basing sigi oiba mayam si da ngai acknowledge to ba to aware ohen ba mayam si matok tai habani only table da khaktan paper work tu khaktan yarak ta ba hai tari Manipur ground le thabuk to si kamai ta wi only amaga question amaga hai tari total geography area 77 above sea forest area ne haraga so only 77 area 77% sik manung da only 8.42 area is the reserve forest adu sida only valley area da riba mall hills atu Heibok sing bodan uriba karigino singa so mom space me ama mangi ji reserve forest le lautho na bi hona bi government effort lai ra ba wanguni
lay you are told around 8%. I will come to him later. There is criticism sometimes are good. As a public servant, we should accept criticism, but the criticism was something which makes us work better also. I'll come to that later. To your question, it is not just in valley we have reserve forest. It is there in hills also. In Chandel it is there. I worked in Chandel, I worked in Kangpopi, I worked in Churachandpur.
Yes.
In all hill districts there are reserve forests and yes there may be some lacunae here and there, but the same management applies whatever. There is no difference between a valley and a hill when it comes to applicability of law. And achoba thing, for example KK reserve forest, Kanglatumbi, Kangpopi reserve forest, it is around 85.47 square kilometer, whereas the total reserve forest in valley is not more than 400-500 square kilometer. So if you see the bigger reserve forest in Churachandpur also there, but my thing is that we as a forest officer we determine, and also as a forest department the government of Manipur is very determined to protect the forest. That is why these things are happening. Ultimately, if you see the last 3-4 years, the developments are such that we are running hayways, and then we are making sure that the forest management is done properly in principle according to the law. And that is why we have so many criticism as well.
Right.
If the department is not working, then criticism may not, the criticism comes along with the development of the department, or say the progress of the department. So it is not exactly. I beg to disagree with you that when you say that these reservoirs are only active, or say the department is very active in valley and not in hills. As a Kangpopi DFO, we have destroyed so many poppy cultivation, around 2,000 acre we have destroyed in the last 2 years. And apart from that, we have made FIRs. We have made FIRs under Narcotics and Drug Substances Act and NDPS Act. And also we have also made sure that we have filed many court cases in judicial magistrates, and also there are more than, I am facing around more than 200 writ petition in high courts as well. So if the department is lull, as members were expressing their opinion, these many cases wouldn't have been there. It is because the department is active that we have so much of hands, so much of cases in our hand. I welcome Mr. Ramji and Mr. Rinkuji anytime at my office. I can tell them very exhaustively what department is doing. But one thing is with the commitment that we are determined to deliver. As a public servant, we accept criticism, but still then we overcome criticism by delivering. We will not just in words, but also in action.
Adara musiki point ita sumoi yeng basing itu yengi government itu po mayam people with trust iti masi live hana tiki lere makan isan tiki mayam thaja basi forest department boiro forest department concern oina do hai tare jadi ta mayam thaja basi angle si hena thammi hena local public ki concern ka mai lei moi khara tor mga sai haiban maina DFO ma lakani to official ma lakani pension chakran to mai retirement ngai boina natraga thabak khar tor basi do mafung phadana hek to bosun to yaw do dinati hai tare adai da khara hena effort laina thabak to na bagi adum suggestion any good suggestions kamai thamini
adugi matang du adu da ne ngasai gi for department sing se akoi gi prajaga mayam citizens mayam siga constant kano se touch se I think is required. I wakal dadi. Not some PIL and writ petition all the time. 200 of them you are facing nadra. I don't know why those are. What those are, but I wakal da. How do we avoid that? I think that's something that I di case among by conflict like we want. Right. But is there a way where you can govern forest singsi? Kamaina jointly Kamaina and very the community villages mayam jinga Kamaina govern to win nagadege phagalan gadege have I think and mamang sumang acknowledge so the Ganesas acknowledge that community forest community joint governance is the best way to govern any not just the kanogi natana umang katana the dum part ki atopato bham singsu pichibi go acknowledge so how do you mayam si praja sing siga loina na kamaina mafam mama kanminaga dage sama kanminaga dage uchek kamain kanminaga dage this all part of the globally recognized good governance system including forest governance aduna how do we reduce those numbers? I think that's something that I wanted to actually
okay do you think your department is a people friendly department to assess this kind of activities in Manipur?
Yes, I do. Department friendly chamane. We go regularly to the field. We are not just sitting in office. I would say that if you see the forest officer, they have to balance the field work as well as the official work. Though nowadays we get a lot of official works and for example this case litigation and other things, but we are the people who are more frontline, are more approachable to the public. So if you see in my personal experience also, I have gone length and breadth of the state. I have covered all the 16 districts, and even we have trekked around 50 kilometers down the village, and then not just me, there are a lot of young forest officers who have come up also, who are very mobile, very active, very people friendly. Okay. And that is how we have visitors around more than 60-50 people in a week or so, and apart from that we go to the field, we monitor the stuffs, and then we monitor the plantation. When we go to monitoring the plantation, we will go and meet the village chiefs or say the village community. We have a lot of what do you call public cooperation and coordination, but only thing is there are some criticism which I will not concede. I will never concede my department, because I am very confident that forest department is doing very good. and in the last 4-5 years we've been tightening our socks, and then we have been raising our hackles, and then we are setting standards high. So apart from that we are performing. We are also people friendly. That I cannot propagate. But only thing is, when we can sit with in our office, or say when we go to the field, we say you will get to know. When you meet people, you will get to know.
That means you have to reduce the number of beat officers.
that I can straight away tell that the forest people, they are doing good job. They are increasing their job. If you compare from earlier, then if you compare now, then it's a little bit better now. Because of that, we can see a lot of more falcon coming here. The forest department gi pot sida atai da loina pharaka da moi da sonda jaga ma yawe haibadi akhoi gi si spring court na koi gi kan si log se pu se thing na bane how many logs there can truck lots of can say koi gi kan se kyam set ke se tham da kyam set ke se kana khang bi is the forest department have knowledge about this? How many ply factories are there? Think the forest department ply factory to we are receiving and aduga machine katang le horabane aduga adugi ply factory le horiba machine sing duga machine you understand my point?
Yes,
no?
yes.
So machine sing duga aduda somdagi transport tawre hariba lok machine moina license tawga tawre isiga maduda capacity sanaribra or mapanda puthokina ba are somebody smuggling these logs, and the forest department is helpless to check these things. I will see my on the field.
I will respond to it very quickly. Thing is that there are veneer mills as well in Impal also. We have how many veneer mills are operating, I can give you the number as well. And even I can approve those timber transfers in my mobile. We have an IT application for that, where I monitor every day. Every day I will approve those kind of things, and it comes to my mobile, and then I approve that. And we are closely monitoring with the web platform in which they applied for permit, and we give permit on it.
As a journalist, I am there are certain illegal movement of timber trucks, from certain areas, and we have reports about that, and then we've been publishing those things in the newspaper.
There may be few instances here and there, but there is also a concept called departmental felling, where many of these timber from say Chandel or Churachandpur, these areas, we have
Heibok also. Heibok side also.
Yeah, there are felling series with which according to the working plan, these timbers are felled, and it has been auctioned as well.
Okay.
So it is not completely
legal. But there are a lot of reports which saying that there are a lot of illegal.
There might be instances here and there. I'm not
saying no. On a regular basis.
That is why I'm saying, like, as a public servant,
and there are powers involved in it. There are powers and money involved.
I'll give you two examples. Ahambagida, I have complained about the cutting of a tree there near Johnson School, and nothing happened. No action taken up. And forest department was mum about that. It was it was during the construction of the
long time ago
footbridge.
Okay.
So there was a report, I think. And another is about the transportation of huge quantity of truckloads of this timber lot of trucks coming through this from Sandel, or either from Yaripuk side or from any other side. This were the report we have done. And anyway, this time I'll give you directly the report, the complaint.
We can also, I will also welcome you to my office. I can say, though we do not have a tree preservation act in Manipur, we have a tree felling guidelines, according to which each and every, even a single tree has to be felled. They apply to us, and we have got around, I have issued around 100 and 200 felling permission. Without our permission, it will not happen. If it is not necessary is to be permitted, we will never permit also. We will prohibit also.
In my case,
we have been doing it. In the last 6 months, we would have had such around 150 cases in Impal only.
Okay. In that case,
where we are regulating it. That is what.
In my case, I have mentioned you.
Okay.
The forest department also have no knowledge of cutting the tree.
I'll get back to that. I'll get back to you on
Please
that.
Pick up it. Pick it up.
Sure.
Okay. या point yang phajab thokpiri hojik lariba forest ki conditions haitare manipur gi lariba conditions da hojik thamjari duni pixale handhare habi ofam lariba maraksida forest kananda gi tamtantraga manipur gi oiba environmental conditions mayam se preserve to numugi damta singula forest ki oiba reserve forest natraga protected forest natraga top classified forest mayama same saraga so ꯃꯄꯥꯟꯗꯒꯤ ꯅꯠꯇ꯭ꯔꯒ ꯃꯄꯥꯟꯗꯒꯤ ꯃꯥꯟꯕ ꯑꯍꯤꯡꯗ ꯂꯣꯟꯅ ꯊꯧꯔꯤꯕ ꯇꯥꯇꯥ ꯇ꯭ꯔꯛ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯀꯦꯕꯤꯟ ꯂꯣꯛ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯄꯨꯔꯤꯕ ꯃꯌꯥꯝꯁꯤ ꯁꯤꯁꯨ ꯍꯣꯏ ꯄꯥꯔꯃꯤꯠ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯒ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯝꯕꯕꯨꯗꯤ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯃꯁꯤꯅ ꯀꯔꯥꯏꯋꯥꯏꯗꯒꯤꯅꯣ ꯃꯗꯨ ꯗꯤꯐꯣꯔꯦꯁꯇꯦꯁꯟ ꯇꯧꯕꯒꯤ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯈꯨꯗꯝ ꯑꯃ ꯑꯣꯏꯗꯕ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯗꯨꯗꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯨꯡ ꯏꯟꯅ ꯍꯣꯏ ꯇꯥꯃꯣ ꯅꯤꯀꯨꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯤꯔꯤ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯐ꯭ꯂꯥꯏ ꯐꯦꯛꯇꯔꯤ ꯇꯧꯔꯤꯕꯁꯤꯡꯁꯤꯗ ꯁꯤꯖꯤꯟꯅꯒꯗꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯃꯔꯨꯝꯗ ꯑꯔꯣꯟꯕ ꯊꯧꯔꯥꯡ ꯈꯔ ꯆꯠꯊꯕ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯤꯁꯨ ꯒꯚꯔꯟꯃꯦꯟꯠꯅ ꯑꯦꯁ ꯋꯦꯜ ꯑꯦꯁ ꯑꯦꯛꯆꯨꯑꯦꯂꯤ ꯐꯣꯔꯦꯁ ꯗꯤꯄꯥꯔꯠꯃꯦꯟꯠꯅ ꯌꯦꯡꯁꯤꯜꯂꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯍꯦꯟꯅ ꯆꯪꯍꯟꯕꯤꯌꯨ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯇꯧꯔꯤ ꯊꯕꯛꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯂꯣꯏꯅꯃꯛ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯅꯒꯅꯤ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯅꯕꯁꯤꯗ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯂꯤꯕꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯑꯣꯟꯅ ꯇꯩꯅꯕꯗ ꯂꯥꯟꯅ ꯆꯠꯈꯤꯒꯗ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯨ ꯆꯤꯡꯅꯗꯕꯗꯤ ꯉꯝꯗꯦ ꯆꯤꯡꯅꯕꯁꯤ ꯂꯩꯍꯟꯅꯕꯗ ꯄꯤꯄꯜ ꯐ꯭ꯔꯦꯟꯂꯤ ꯑꯣꯏꯕ ꯗꯤꯄꯥꯔꯠꯃꯦꯟꯠ ꯑꯃ ꯑꯣꯏꯕꯤꯌꯨ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯤꯅꯤ ꯊꯥꯒꯠꯆꯔꯤ ꯉꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯍꯩꯕꯣꯛ ꯆꯤꯡ ꯑꯦꯁ ꯑꯦ ꯔꯤꯖꯥꯔꯚ ꯐꯣꯔꯦꯁ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯇꯣꯄꯤꯛꯇ ꯑꯣꯖꯥ ꯒꯅꯦꯁ ꯅꯒꯔꯥꯖꯟ DFO IFS ꯁꯦꯟꯇ꯭ꯔꯦꯜꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ thank you very much for joining us aduga oja ram wangkhairakpam environmental activist amadi oja ring khumuksam Impal Times yaubidna tongan ton opinions and visions views me ama thabi bogdu the guest homapu manung ngi makhedi thakar phanglu sri doina ngasi gi manung ni throm se batan tenjari me am por boina humjari
Shri Shri Gaurachandraya Namaha Purba Shramdai Khoi Irapta Tinbiramba Hana